It's time for Recipe of the Day. You know that one of my family's favorite dinners is the ground beef and rice skillet that I talk about all the time. That one has, of course, the ground beef, the rice, bell peppers, diced tomatoes. It kind of tastes like stuffed peppers, the classic ones, but much easier to do. So I make that all the time. But lately, my family has been loving mushrooms, and so I've been doing it a little bit different, and I call it a ground beef and mushroom skillet. Same basic cooking time and ideas, but without the tomatoes, without the bell peppers. There's mushrooms in here, and then we serve it with some sour cream on top and chopped chives, and it kind of has like a beef stroganoff feel going on. So that's what I'm telling you about today. Ground beef and mushroom skillet, cozy, delicious, very stress-free and easy to make, and almost no cleanup because it's all done in one pan. Okay, here's how you make it. You're going to get out a large skillet that has a lid, and you're going to heat a tablespoon of cooking oil, olive oil, whatever you use, in that skillet over medium heat. Then you're going to add a pound of lean ground beef and kind of spread it out into a nice flat layer in the pan, taking up as much space as possible. That gives you more space for browning and less likely for the beef to steam, although sometimes it does anyways, but whatever. You're trying to get it as spread out as possible so it has more surface area, so it's more likely to get a little bit brown underneath. Leave it there untouched for a good 4 to 5 minutes until it's browning under there. Then you're going to add a medium onion that you've chopped up, 16 ounces of button mushrooms that you've sliced, and 3/4 teaspoon of salt. And add those in and then stir it all up so that it all mixes up and the meat starts to break up, okay? Now, I'm just going to interrupt myself here and say that there is an alternative that you can use for these mushrooms. You can use, instead of the 16 ounces of button mushrooms, you can do 8 ounces of sliced button mushrooms and then do an ounce of dried mushrooms, either porcini or oyster mushrooms. Those are going to be best here. Now, what you're going to do is before you even start making this recipe, you're going to get that ounce of mushrooms, put them in a fine mesh sieve and rinse them really good. That gets any like dustiness off of those dried mushrooms. Then put them in a bowl, boil some water, and you're going to pour a cup of that just boiled water over those mushrooms and leave them for 30 minutes. Then put a fine mesh sieve, it could be the same one that you used before, rinsed off, put it over a bowl and pour the mushrooms through. You're going to chop up those mushrooms and add them when you add the other mushrooms, 8 ounces of regular button mushrooms, but you're also going to use this liquid that you just collected in the bowl. So I'm about to tell you that the recipe calls for 2 cups of low sodium beef stock, but what you would do instead is to pour that mushroom liquid into a measuring cup and then add enough beef stock to make up 2 cups. And then you use that mushroom beef stock mixture instead of the plain beef stock, okay? So that is the option there. If you love mushrooms and haven't tried using dried mushrooms, they just take the recipes to such a mushroomy delicious place. I don't think it's so much the mushrooms themselves all the time, but that liquid just has so much robust mushroom flavor. It just changes anything up that you have mushrooms in. Delicious. Try that out, or go as the recipe is written with just the 16 ounces of button mushrooms, in which case we've added the onion, the mushrooms, and the salt to the meat in the skillet, and then you're stirring and breaking that up so that the meat is kind of getting crumbly, and then you're going to keep cooking that, stirring every now and then until the meat is cooked through and the mushrooms are tender. It's going to be 5 to 6 minutes. Then you're stirring in 2 cups of low sodium beef stock, or your beef stock and mushroom liquid, right? 2 cups of liquid going in there along with 1 cup of uncooked white long grain rice. Now, if you want to use brown rice or a different kind of rice, you totally can. It's just this recipe, the amount of liquid and the timing has been developed to work with the white long grain rice. If you have brown rice and you want to use it, you can use 1 cup, do everything exactly the same, but then at the end of the recipe, the rice is not going to be tender and all your liquid's going to be absorbed. What you're going to do is heat up some more liquid. It could just be water. It could be more beef stock, about 1/2 cup. Add that in, put the lid on, keep simmering it, and then check every like 5 minutes until the rice is tender, adding more hot liquid every time as needed. You want it to stay just a little bit moist so that it's steaming and soaking up that liquid, okay? Now, like I said, this recipe was developed with uncooked white rice, so that's what I am going with here. You add in the 1 cup of white long grain rice along with your 2 cups of liquid that we talked about, and 1.5 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, 3/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme leaves. Stir that all in, bring it to a boil over high heat, then reduce it down to a low simmer, cover it and cook until the liquid is all absorbed and the rice is tender. It's going to be about 20 to 25 minutes. Then take it off the heat, give it a gentle stir to fluff the rice all through, and then you can serve it just like that. Or like I said, I love to serve each serving with a little dollop of sour cream. When you mix it in there, it gives that like beef stroganoff vibe. So tasty, comforting. Everybody loves beef stroganoff, right? Okay, I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there. Everything there is arranged by date, so it's helpful to know that today is January 13th of 2026. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookville.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, cookfor2.us, and this podcast recipe of the day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.